My favorite professor started carrying a jar of river stones to every single lecture. I thought he was losing his focus until I found his map. For the last semester, my mentor, Professor Miller, had become the talk of the campus for a very odd reason. He was a brilliant man, known for his sharp mind and his deep love for architecture, but lately, he seemed preoccupied. Every morning, he would arrive at the lecture hall with a small glass jar filled with smooth, gray river stones. He would place the jar on the podium and occasionally touch one of the stones as he spoke, his gaze drifting toward the window. I started to worry that the pressure of his upcoming retirement was finally weighing on him. He stopped staying late for office hours and began leaving the moment his classes ended, clutching that jar like a lifeline. I feared he was retreating into a world of quiet confusion, and it hurt to see the man who inspired my career path seemingly lose his spark. The mystery deepened when I noticed he was spending his weekends at the old, abandoned quarry on the edge of town. I saw his car parked there several times while I was out hiking, but he was never in sight. I began to worry that he was struggling with a lonely, difficult transition that he felt he couldn't share with his students or colleagues. The silence in his once vibrant classroom was becoming heavy, and I felt like I was watching a great library slowly close its doors. I was terrified that he was losing interest in the very buildings and history he had taught us to love, and I didn't know how to reach out without overstepping my bounds. Yesterday, Professor Miller left his leather satchel in the library after a research session. I picked it up to return it to his office, but as I moved it, a large, hand-drawn map slid out from a side pocket. My heart hammered against my ribs as I looked at the parchment. It wasn't a map of the campus or the city. It was a detailed reconstruction of a historical village that had been lost to a flood nearly 80 years ago, the very village where he had grown up. Next to the map was a list of names, mostly of local families who had lost their homes in the disaster. I sat in the quiet library aisle as the truth finally clicked into place. Professor Miller wasn't losing his mind. He was a secret architect of memories. He had discovered that the city was planning to build a new park over the quarry, and he was using his expertise to build a small, beautiful memorial fountain using stones he had gathered from the original riverbed of his childhood home. He was engraving the names of the lost families onto the stones in secret, ensuring their history wouldn't be buried under new pavement. He was hiding it because he wanted the memorial to be a gift from an anonymous citizen rather than a project for his own glory. I realized that day that my professor wasn't fading away. He was quietly spending his final semester making sure that even the smallest pieces of our history were set in stone for the next generation to find.